No way.
1,
Don't.
2, 3. Store picks! A lot of different things happening in the whiskey world as of late, especially with the whole bourbon bubble popping type of thing. I don't know if you know much about the metrics on that. I don't, but there's just been a lot of talk on that, a lot of news updates on that. We're going to teach you the art of keeping whiskey interesting in a very simple way. Stay tuned.
Let's do it. All right, so keeping whiskey interesting.
Get him a map.
I was there. All right, so keeping whiskey interesting.
What do you got for me? How can I make this interesting?
So
How can I make this interesting?
Well,
it's already there.
So what are we gonna do? What's your solution?
My solution,
it's your video.
Before we get into the solution, it's my video. Before we get into the solution, you're the one doing the drinking. These are for you.
Both?
We're gonna start with the blind here for you only. And I know you didn't know this was coming.
No.
That's how we do it here. You're gonna start with whatever one you want first. I don't care. This is A and this is B as per usual. This is you right now. Take your time. You don't gotta rush. I can speed it up in the editing process.
I don't know. I like that one a lot.
Really?
No, I like the first one.
You like the first one better?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the tier? 1 out of 10. This is supposed to be 10. What is this one on that scale?
Probably an 8 and 6.
Really? It's that close? All right,
Initially, let me think.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah.
Because you're
use your brain.
instilling doubt.
Use your brain.
8 and a 5, I'm done.
No, you already went for 6. You're an idiot. So the one on the right side is E.H. Taylor single barrel. And the one on the left side is going to be Buffalo Trace store pick.
I'm not an idiot then.
All right, but how close? This was 2 points off.
That's not bad.
This is 2 points off. This is a store pick Buffalo Trace. The point here I'm trying to make, I'm going to drink this. You can have that.
I'll take it.
The point I'm trying to make here is to make whiskey interesting. You don't really have to be hunting for the best of the best, the most craziest, most allocated, most hyped thing in the market at the moment now. How we're going to make whiskey interesting is, give us a moment.
No way.
1,
Don't.
2, 3. Store picks!
Nothing broke. Nothing broke.
No way.
No,
Everything's
just-
Well, something did. It did break.
It did break. Gosh, that's so stressful.
At least we're showing it to people.
Yeah.
At least they know how stupid we are.
Yeah, we were stacking stuff. Yeah, that's crazy.
I guess
Okay.
that's kind of interesting.
That's crazy.
That's
yeah.
one way to keep whiskey interesting. Just freaking throw your bottles around.
Just throw them.
Yeah.
Anyways, the bottles we were throwing around, what are they?
They're all store picks.
They're store picks.
Store picks. And we have a couple of people that we have that are our favorite stores that we shop at. You always got that store that you like, and the people that you like to buy your whiskey from, to support that person. That person's cool. He's who I'm going to buy my whiskey from. And if they do store picks, even better.
Even better.
You got to stop buying classic, old, reliable Buffalo Trace. I get it, it's old, reliable, but why do that when you could just go and buy yourself a store pick of Buffalo Trace like that? QFC store pick. They're even doing 1 liter store picks, and they're even doing 375 store picks. These little guys.
That was down in Oregon, which was like a treat to find.
Point is, oh my gosh, there's way too many store picks of bottles that we find. Finding quality whiskey that tastes good while saving money, that's the key.
Exactly.
To keeping whiskey interesting.
Right.
And if you can go and get a bottle yourself and be like, oh, look I have this barrel. You will never have this bottle unless you try it from me at my place. Because my guy picked this one. Or this one. Or this one. It's just such an interesting game, store picks. And if you're a collector, and like if you've ever like collected anything like Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that, this is a part of the game. Collecting the whiskeys. Not just the whiskeys, but the store picks themselves. That's where we're at now. When I walk into a liquor store and I ask, what do you have here that you find interesting or that you like here? They instantly think I'm talking allocated whiskey.
Exactly.
That's the farthest thing from the truth when it comes to me asking about whiskey. I say, nope, I'm asking about something that you like that may not be very widely available. Or do you have any store picks? Those are basically the two things I'd like to know. Is there something here that isn't mainstream, but it's still pretty good? Or did you do any picks yourselves? Because that is new, that is good, and to me, that's kind of like on the same range of like the allocated whiskey, because you're not going to find this anywhere but this store.
One and done.
You know?
You can find, the chances of finding a normal single barrel Blanton's anywhere in the world are higher than finding this particular bottle of Knob Creek single barrel.
By the way, this is a Blanton store pick.
It is a store pick. But we did taste 2 different store picks and the normal Blanton's today compared to the Buffalo Trace store pick, which is going to be a different video. Just go Buffalo Trace.
This Buffalo Trace beat it.
Just go Buffalo. Oh my gosh, night and day, dude. Anyways.
That's also why I got so cocky with the whole A.H. Taylor single barrel versus Buffalo Trace single barrel. It was only 2 points off, you know, let's say that. But, you know, it was definitely an obvious winner on the E.H. Taylor, just because it is. But I did go single barrel. I didn't go small batch.
It wasn't.
I tried to be fair. Single barrel for single barrel. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
That's good.
I saw.
You saw. When people are, you know, thinking about whiskey, instantly they think about the rare things, the very exclusive things, or limited edition things. You're talking limited editions such as like Old Forester, King Ranch, Texas exclusive whiskey type of deal. You can only get it in Texas, but is it really, truly better?
Am I glad I have it?
Of course. No, yeah, of course. It's cool to have, it's cool to share with people. That's the whole issue with it. But is it better than like a store pick barrel proof single barrel Old Forester?
Even black label.
Or the black label.
100 proof.
Yeah.
Not different animal.
Dude.
I will go black label any day of the week over something like King Ranch or something like Burr Rye, where it's Colorado only.
That's true. Burr Rye, yeah.
There's a lot I would rather buy black label Old Forester than a lot of special releases. And that's because it's different every time.
And of course this comes with like experience that we've had with like having, you know, certain types of whiskey and finding those limited releases, obtaining them and trying them. Honestly, the grand majority is these single barrel store picks of these everyday whiskeys you find are just, they have the quality.
Right.
And it's a fun game to play. And if you're into collecting whiskey, how are you not collecting store picks? Because guess what? You're going to be the only one that all of your friends know who have that really, really good bottle, and they can't get that bottle.
It's gone. Yeah, it's
like,
done.
oh, I got this guy a couple years ago. Oh, yeah? Oh, if I've had that one, the blue label. I don't know about that.
No, not
Try
this one.
Whoa!
Yeah. Exactly. They're all a little different.
It's fun to compare.
Some of them are amazing. I think we've talked about it in the past, like even with the Eagle Rare store picks, which I understand are hard to find. Man, the store pick Eagle Rares compared to the normal Eagle Rare, man, it just proves that Sazerac blends the magic out. And I feel like that's kind of like a blanketed term. We do have a Buffalo Trace store pick that is horrible. It is terrible.
And that is a part of the game.
It is a part of the game. A lot of you have experienced that with Henry McKenna. This is a crapshoot, and it's even more of a crapshoot than a lot of other guys. A lot of them are bad, a lot of them are good. But I feel like majority of the store picks, you're trusting someone who is tasting them, picking the best one out of a bunch, and so odds are it's going to be a pretty good barrel. Odds are.
Exactly. Great. Another point I would like to talk about here is, I think these whiskey distillers, distributors, whatever you want to call them, are aware of the numbers going down in popularity of bourbon, which makes me think, I think we're going to see a little bit more of this coming up. Ben Holiday Cave Collection has been a thing. Some of you are aware. Now they're doing store picks of this guy.
Yep.
They're doing store picks of this bottle. As if the
this
bottle
is the first one.
This is the first ever store pick that they've done, yes. As if it wasn't already interesting enough.
Right.
The Ben Holiday Cave Collection. Now they're making their distillery more interesting and unique, and they're setting that step forward for the whole industry. Honestly. In my opinion, that is such a big move. Already something where it's like, They could have literally just stayed put with that and be like, oh no, look, they got to come over here and get it and figure it out themselves if they want this.
Or allocated like what Maker's Mark does with their cellar released. Same thing,
right?
Cellar, cave, it's the same thing.
Exactly, yeah. But no, they're like, let's just up the ante a little bit. Let's do something nobody else is going to do.
Let's make it available.
So think of all the other whiskeys out there that they could or might do store picks of. And that is what makes it a lot more interesting. How is there not a store pick of Henry McKenna yet?
Yeah.
How? I mean, I honestly, Ancient Cave Collection is always going to be a lot more interesting than this, by the way. But
they single barrel all the time.
Yeah.
That's the whole shtick. Why isn't there a store pick?
John J. Bowman single barrel store pick could have been a store pick.
Could've
a lot
been.
more Stag store picks. You could have a Sagamore Sherry Finish store pick, Sagamore Cask Strength store pick.
We're getting Wild Turkey 101 store picks now.
That is true.
That's coming up.
What are the whiskeys?
That's crazy.
What are the whiskeys we have now where it could become a store pick? That is interesting.
Mictors and the one-offs is the way we're gonna get like the most broad experience with whiskey, because like these are it's a single barrel. It's where this one spot in this one warehouse in this one floor developed in a certain way with these certain seats. Like it's just crazy how all these factors play into like this one bottle, and it's gone. It's like you get to savor that and be like, oh yeah, that one was good. And then this one was okay, but it was just never as good as this one, and it was probably because of this. Like, there's so many factors, and you get to like really talk about it, and that's what how we got started is by talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're like, why don't we film this? And that began Brothers Barrel, but
pretty much.
I mean, it's just.
And another whiskey a lot of people had some hype over was Elijah Craig Toasteds, right? They started doing their Toasted for bourbons and more recently the Ryes, and so they decided to up the ante, kind of like them. They did an Elijah Craig store pick. It's a private barrel, aged, single barrel, barrel proof, toasted whiskey. These, you're gonna get these. Don't worry about the regular 94 proof Ryes and bourbon toasteds.
Because disclaimer, we didn't like them.
I would be fine never having them ever again in my life. I wish I'd rather got another bottle rather than those. They're really, really bad. This bottle, however, is absolutely amazing.
Man, like this one in particular, first thing that came to my mind, Baby Bookers, which a lot of people aren't impressed with Bookers, but for this price, this bottle, how available it is, having a Bookers that available, that was impressive.
It's at least available at that store.
Yeah.
Because they did 2 picks of that. They did an 8-year and a 9-year.
Dang.
And personally, I went for the 8-year because if you're gonna go more aged, it's already
and
single
toasted.
barrel. It's toasted. How harsh is it gonna be? So I went for the lower age one because I think for toasted or double oaks, it's kind of hard for me to like them. But this,
I think that's smart.
I think we have more store picks rather than regular bottles of whiskey.
At this point, yeah.
I think
because they're more interesting. They bring a lot more to the table. I think
it turned into that bottle shares that we have. It turned into I got this store pick, and then everyone's like, that's the thing now. It's
because you go to enough bottle shares, everyone's gonna have the normal Blantons. Everyone's gonna have an Eagle Rare. Everyone's gonna have, I don't know. At this point, 1924, the Jack Daniel's 10.
Or everyone has had that bottle you brought over.
At least
we've experienced that.
And so the only way you're gonna be like, oh, you gotta try this. You've never tried this. You've never tried store picks.
Should have brought my Weller Antique store pick, but I have people on Weller Antique. I have a lot of that on standby. It's my favorite Weller. I like having a lot.
Sure.
And I tell people like, if you want to try Weller Antique, it's my favorite one. They're like, oh yeah, I know. But then when I say I have a Weller Antique store pick, then you see that little curiosity spark, and so it just goes to show with store picks, it piques the interest and it is more interesting, and it keeps it fun and it keeps the game alive.
Exactly.
Whiskey.
Right.
And if you want to take another step further, I mean, take it away from bourbon for a little bit, especially before tariffs completely ruin us. Finlagen, this is a Scotch whiskey right now at Trader Joe's for $23.
$23. And what did that rank in our Scotch blind? A year ago?
I think it was. So we did 4 different. I think that was second place.
It did really well.
And it's the cheapest one in that.
The cheapest one, yeah.
I think it did pretty. Yeah.
So with being second place and being the cheapest, that's crazy.
Baseline is get into Scotch. If you think, the bourbon bubble is dying, that's what it is. The bourbon bubble is popping, right?
Right.
So get into Scotch, get into Irish, get into Japanese. Teach us some stuff about Japanese whiskey. We don't have nothing on that. But
do.
like you mentioned before, sometimes you'll get that bad store pick.
You will.
That's a part of the game.
Every now and then you get a bad
And that's
pick.
also interesting. You brought that bad Buffalo Trace to the bottle share.
To the bottle share, yeah. Like, hey, everyone's got to try this.
You know?
And everyone was shocked with
Make it
how
funny.
bad it was because it was Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. It was pretty funny.
And it was
Everyone
funny.
tried it because they didn't believe it.
Yeah, they didn't believe it.
So they're going to try it.
So even though it's bad, it was still a good time. It was still a great time.
Yeah. Because after that, we had a lot of really good whiskey.
Exactly.
Most of them, I think, were store picks. Anyways, that just kind of settles it right there for you.
Yeah.
Yes, this video is a store pick related whiskey video. In my opinion, that is the most interesting thing about whiskey nowadays for me. Of course, there's the hype for like you said, Maker's Mark Cellar Aged, or I got a BTAC, dude. Heck yeah, nice, good job. Or yeah, I got this for a great price, $50. Or I got a 1924, all these really good bottles, and yes, that is really cool, like a good free, like let's all try it and have a good time. And there's nothing I can take away from that. But it's always gonna be the same thing. Granted, you have the different years. Mm-hmm. For example, one thing that people get a lot of hype over is those certain Elijah Craig barrel proofs.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can put the same hype on this as you can store picks. People, oh, this batch of this year was crazy. Exactly. And it's all the same thing. Everyone can get one.
Right.
And that's cool. Actually, I've had to walk into a couple of liquor stores and teach them what a store pick was because they didn't know about that.
And that's kind of something too, is like if you have a liquor store and they're not bourbon people, like let them know, like, hey, if you ever come across like you need to pick a barrel, let me know if you have a good palate, and chances are they'll let you try it out and have you pick a good barrel for them. Because if they pick up a good barrel, they're going to sell more of it. So that's incentive on their part. So it can't hurt to ask, can't hurt to have a conversation.
Which, speaking of our boy Ephraim, he said their next Buffalo Trace store pick, we're picking it with him.
Yeah, and I'm excited because he does a good job already.
I know.
And I'd be curious to see if we pick the same one.
That'd be good, yeah.
You know?
Anyways, that's our topic on store picks. We can go on and on and on and on.
We're
about
connoisseurs.
This.
We love them. They're the best.
Anyways, thank you for sticking with us to the end of the video. This is Brothers Barrel here. Thank you for the Patreon members and those who join the Discord just to talk and chat and have a good time, just yapping about whatever.
We're looking at you, Metro.
Whiskey related. Yeah. It's Brothers Barrel. Once again with you, Harrison here.
Chris.
And I hope you have a good night and drink responsibly.
Later.
Folks. Have a good night.